so wet we've had to strip the mud off of each individual carrot. So anyway, it's been good so far. This is a lot easier.
Fantastic. Well, I think we'll get started here, Herman, at least with a round table, and then we can jump right into it. So I'd like to just start by welcoming everybody here to our first virtual field tour. This is very experimental for us, so thank you for joining. And just a quick background. So I'm Rachel with the Kootenay Boundary Farm Advisors, for those who haven't met me in person. And we were talking with a couple of growers in this area, and mechanization has been increasingly an area of interest for growers and farmers here. And Herman has a lot of experience with crafting unique implements, and he kind of has his favorite tools out there. And we know that it's a big wide web about what you could purchase, or maybe you're thinking about what's the best investment or bang for my buck in terms of going down the mechanization route. And so we wanted to plan a field tour out at Herman's, and then we realized, oh, that's like really difficult this time of year for any farmer to get away. And this was Herman's idea. He said, well, you know, with this technology, maybe we could actually do something live in the field, and then it's during a time of year when he's actually using the implements. We wouldn't be faking it in, say, November or something like that. So thanks for coming on this wild ride of experimentation here with us. And the basic format is Herman's going to show us. When I spoke with Herman about doing this, we realized there's so many areas where there's unique implements, and we thought, you know, there's field crops, there's greenhouse operations, and then there's also the packing house. So if this goes well, we're thinking this could actually be basically part one of a series of a few different live field tours. And the structure is Herman's going to go about, show us some of his field implements, and then it's basically a conversation and a live Q&A about like the details about the type of machinery and when those might be the most useful. So maybe I'll have Herman introduce himself first, and Louise, and then we'll do a quick round table. We have 10 people on the call.
Great. Morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm Herman. And next, and this is Louise. She's volunteered to come and hold the camera and film some of the things. Also, hopefully we'll find one of our staff as well to help later on with some of the other equipment. Louise has a bunch of lettuce she needs to get harvested this morning too. So anyway, it's kind of exciting. It's kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes, and I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to your questions as well. I thought this would be a cool thing, is we could just have instant questions right then and there, and focus in on certain things, and yeah, so don't hold back. If you have an opportunity to ask questions, just go for it.
Okay, so we'll do a round table. So everyone unmute themselves. I'll call out your name because I have the list, and I know it's hard to know when to jump in on Zoom. So Dale, you're at the top of my list.
Yeah, well, Dale Wilker, Old Blue Truck Farm, Invermere, BC. We grow market vegetables. We have fruit trees, garlic, berry bushes, fairly small farm, 0.6 of an acre that we're growing on right now, with the potential of getting to 1 acre. And yeah, we sell maybe $20,000 worth of veg and fruit a year.
Awesome, thanks so much, Dale. And John Abinante.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, we can't hear you, John.
I do about 14 ton of hay. Okay, I'm just away from the Wi-Fi. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, start over again.
Me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Start over.
Abinante from Fruit, just south of Fruitvale, near the border. My primary crop is vegetables. Do a variety, and we do mixed grains. With side of the business, we have 3 greenhouses. I'm looking into heating the greenhouses this year. Also, we do hay. I cut hay. I do about 14 ton And we do market garden, all the grocery stores in the Kootenays. We're about 2 acres in production. I've got about 30 fruit trees right now, and eggs. We sell eggs. And I'm happy to be on board.
Well, thanks, John. And yeah, you were cutting in and out a little bit there, but just
Okay.
to reiterate for Herman, he's
Sorry guys.
Oh, no problem. It's okay. He's Earthy Organics in Fruitvale, market garden, you name it, chickens, hay, everything. He attends all the markets. And I saw John yesterday at the Roslyn sort of semi pop-up market and told him he had to join in. Okay.
Yeah, got forced into it. Got talked into it.
Yeah. Marion's iPad.
Hi, I'm Marion Cousino. I live in Dunster, BC. I work for Balsam Ranch Market Garden, and I really enjoy that this is on a Zoom because then I can still attend the farmers market in Valemount this afternoon.
Awesome, thank you. It's great to have someone from our northern areas, very different than Fruitvale. Brendan from Salix and Sedge.
Yeah, hi, Brendan from Salix and Sedge in Salmo, and we grow mixed veg, and we've got a small greenhouse, and I'm super excited to be on this tour with Herman. So thanks so much, Herman.
Great, thanks,
Yeah, you're welcome.
Brendan. And Brendan's one of the folks who asked for getting this type of information out into the Kootenays. So I'm sure he's got lots of questions. And Jeremy. Jeremy, we can't hear you very well. Hey, Jeremy, I don't think that's going to work. Maybe you're too far in the field. Well, Jeremy, I'll circle back to you if you get closer to something, but I'll just mute you and we'll move on, and then I'll come back to you, okay? And how about Mel?
Hi, yeah, I hope my audio is working. My name's Mel. I'm from Flat Farm in Salmo. We're a very small first-year market garden, just learning the ropes, looking at what our options and opportunities might be in the future. So I'm just curious to listen in. And I also work part-time with Brendan at Salix and Sedge. Hey, Brendan. Made the webinar. And so yeah, just like curious about what's happening and what opportunities might be. Yeah, really interested to learn more. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Mel. And Ryan from Invermere.
Thanks, Rachel. Ryan Watmo here from the Columbia Valley. I'm the Community Economic Development Officer, so I cover about 7 communities here, from Canal Flats up to Spill Machine, and great to see that Cadman travel irrigation gun in the background there. That was built just down the road from where I grew up in Ontario. In the Columbia Valley, we've been focusing on supporting farmers markets and, in turn, farmers as we move towards a food hub here.
Great, thank you, Ryan. Thanks for joining this morning. And Nairi, do you want to give yourself a quick introduction?
Good morning, you guys. I'm Nairi. I'm the Basin Business Advisor Agriculture Specialist. So I provide one-to-one advisement with agriculture businesses throughout the entire Columbia Basin. And I'm joining today because I'm super curious to see what Herman's up to. And yeah, I'm excited about all these different mechanized systems with advising people in the local area. So yeah, thanks for doing this. Happy to be here.
Awesome, thanks, Nairi. And Jeremy, do you want to give it one more shot there on your audio?
Okay.
Yep, I don't think it's going to work, Jeremy, but I hope it's working at your end. You could also type something into the chat just about where you are from, because I don't think I know you. And Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Andrew, and I'm really excited to see what Louise and Herman are going to show us today. Best farm out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. And Hillary, another KBFA team member.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, my name's Hillary. I'm new to the KBFA team, and I'm based out of the East Kootenays. So those of you out there will probably run into me at some point in the near future. And looking forward to learning what's going to be covered on the call today.
Awesome. Thanks, Hillary. Okay, so without further ado, Herman, I'm going to pass it over to you. I know we had a few farms that you know in our region, like Bent Plow, for example, and Crooked Horn and Cartwheel Farm. I'm sure they're just looking forward to the recording. I know this time of year can just be crazy. So a lot of folks emailed me and they're like, can you make sure it's recorded? So I have pressed the record button, and people might have to follow up with you later for additional questions.
Yeah, they can always check in with me, or if they have any questions, email me later on or something like that, and then I could answer them. But yeah, thanks, Andrew, too, for that cheerleading. What I was going to say, I wanted to just reiterate that one thing that Andrew said is that the farm is really a partnership between Louise and I, and so today we're going to be looking at sort of my part of it, because I tend to be more doing the machinery end. But some other day, if we do it again, we could be doing a lot of Louise's area of responsibility. So anyway, we'll go over to one nearest tractor here. I've got a potato digger, and I think most people have probably seen it. We'll just do a quick look at it and a quick demo, and just reiterate how it works for on a small farm, and if there's any questions, we can deal with it. So what I was thinking here is I'm just going to switch my camera to facing out so that you can see it and not see me here. Just have to figure out how to do that. Why is it not working? Here we are. Okay. Moving ahead. So this is a potato digger that I picked up a few years ago. I had an old one that I bought at a farm auction quite a few years when we first started farming, and it was a pull type, and it worked. But then I got this one here. I found out about this one, and I like the idea of 3-point hitch. Means that you can turn quickly and on a short, in a short space. And I'll just walk around it here. I think most of people have probably seen a potato digger, so it's nothing terribly new. But they're really simple machines. They just have this chain that with gaps between it. You can see the gaps. So right at the front here, you've got a spade that digs in under the potato row, and then the soil and the potatoes come bouncing up this chain. The chain bounces a little bit, and then the idea is the soil is supposed to all fall through the chain, and then the potatoes go out the very back here. And then all you need to do is come along and pick those potatoes up by hand. Oh, there's our dog. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the phone to Louise, and I'll just get on the tractor and do a little bit of potato digging, and then we'll stop and take another look at it. Yeah, so this variety that we're digging is here is Sieglinde, or also known as German butter. Yeah, you can see it's super easy to dig them this way. They come out beautiful. And especially now that the soil is dry, it makes a huge difference. If it was wet, then our soil can be a pain sometimes when it's wet. So um, yeah, it worked really well. And yeah, you can see it just beats the heck out of doing it by shovel. I find in the first few years we did it by shovel as well, but you invariably hit some of the potatoes, slice them, and this machine does it much better and much faster, of course, much easier. So you can, I've got a 200-foot row here. I could do that in less than 5 minutes, and then we just need to pick them up. And so our pickup method is just we use 20-liter buckets and just crawl along the bottom. I should have had a bucket out here just to demonstrate that, but yeah, I just use the 20-liter buckets and put them in the bucket, and then we bought a bunch of used coffee bean sacks, and so yeah, we just put them into the 2 buckets per sack. They're nice big open sacks, and didn't cost much. You can buy them by the pallet from Burnaby Bag and Burlap down at the coast, and so that works really well. And then we just stack them on pallets and put them into our storage room. Yeah, so that's basically our procedure with the potatoes.
Yeah, Herman, just so you know, this is working really well. I can see everything really clearly and hear you really well. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, great. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions about this?
Yeah, and I was also saying, Andrew had the suggestion that if people think of something on the spot, they can also type out a question into the chat box. So if we're in the middle of something, they can type it in.
Yeah. I mean,
Herman, I had a quick question. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
I was just going to ask, sorry, it's just slightly off topic. I was going to ask what implement you used before you had the PTO potato digger. You said you used one that was just on the 3-point hitch or something like that to dig potatoes. That wasn't.
It was very similar to this, except it was an old one. It probably back in the old days might have even been ground driven, but when I got it, it had a PTO shaft on it already. So it was just that it was quite a bit longer. It would be like way out to here, and when you get to the end of the row, it would be hard to turn around, and it was kind of wearing out too. But yeah, sometimes you can get lucky and find these machines at an auction. Someone has it sitting around in their shed or something like that, and you don't actually use it much. So this is one of the things. I was just going to show you, Louise. Do you want to just zoom in on the equipment tag there? This is a Canadian company, so this is where you can get them. They're about $4,500 to $5,000. But one of the things I think is useful to keep in mind is that this is a machine that doesn't actually get much use, right? So you could easily share this amongst several growers. So this is another way that we've done something here in the North Okanagan. We do share a couple of pieces of equipment that we all don't use very much, but are really helpful. And so you could easily schedule it so that this week so-and-so does his potatoes, the next week someone else does it. But yeah, you do need a tractor with a PTO to run it, but not very much. Like, I mean, I have a much larger tractor than I need on here. It's just that that's what I got. And so yeah, I think if you're lucky and you find a used one, go for it. If you need to buy a new one, that's where they are and what they cost.
Awesome. It looks like a huge efficiency saver. I noticed all your potatoes foliage is completely gone and dead.
Oh yeah, okay. So what I should say about that, I forgot about that. That's true, and I'm glad you noticed that. So what I did is 2 weeks ago, we mowed the tops off. So we went along with a flail mower. You can kind of see it here. They were just mowed right off. yeah, so that helps a lot. And what happens is the reason I do mow them 2 weeks in advance is because that gives time for the skin to set on the potato, so that it doesn't get bruised or damaged when we dig it. Because there's a little bit of bouncing on this, and you can't help but when you pour them into sacks and stuff like that and move the sacks around, the potatoes are going to be rubbing against one another. If you don't mow them ahead of time, the skin will get damaged. So by mowing them 2 weeks in advance, you 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 do two things. One is you get rid of all the foliage, which would just get hung up in the digger. Even as it is, even this amount of foliage can sometimes still get hung up. But the other thing, of course, is that you do make the potatoes the skin's a lot firmer, so that when they go through the digging process and the washing process, they don't get damaged. So great question on that one.
Yeah, good tip. And one more question was just wondering if there's any kind of implement that you could put behind the digger so that the potatoes are collected like automatically as part of the rig.
Yeah, absolutely, you could. The more money you want to spend, the more yeah, I mean, I was just looking online, and as soon as you get into that, you're looking at 20 grand at least, or more. And so yeah, you can get conveyors that kind of are built in. The chain would go up higher and then drop into a bin. And so for sure, it's all possible. But the question is it a good value for, like, you're only using it for a few hours in a year, really? So unless you got acres and acres of potatoes, and then it starts making it worth it. We do. You can see our patch here. These are 200-foot rows. This is about a third of our patch. You can see over here, this extra land, that was all in potatoes. But a lot of it we dug as early potatoes. So if you're doing early potatoes, you don't want them to go across, you're not putting them into bins. You just dig them as you need them. And you're going to handle them as really, really gently. And so then you wouldn't want that. So you'd almost need it to be detachable in some ways, or have a second machine if you wanted to do it differently. So we've just opted for this because we have our staff here anyway, and it doesn't take that long to pick them up. And I mean,
Yeah,
sure, for something like this, we've got I don't know, whatever we have here, 15 rows. That will take us, probably better part of a day. But that's just one, that's one crop, and then you're done. We'll probably get, I don't know, we'll probably have, I would think something like maybe 7, 8 tons of potatoes out of this. So that's a fair bit.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
it's always interesting to hear where you found value and efficiencies. So, it's worth $5,000 to invest in the digger, but the conveyor belt for 20 grand, it's like, no, staff's cheaper maybe than that. So it's always an equation as to where you make those investments. So it's just interesting to see where, your rationale for having the digger.
Yeah, you just have to decide what you want to spend your money on, right? And sure, if you're doing larger amounts of potatoes, definitely you'd want to invest in something like that. You don't want to pick them all up by hand. But we do a lot of potato digging where we're just sort of digging from week to week, and then we have one little section here where we dig the fall potatoes, and so it just didn't seem worth it to pay the extra money. And none of the other growers in our area do that. They all use a little one like this, because for market gardens, that's plenty good enough. But if you're going to put 10 acres of potatoes in, definitely you want to have something better. And you can go from there, the sky's the limit. Like, you can get multi-row potato combines that sort the potatoes and do all kinds of things for you. But yeah, that gets into real money. Okay, so I was thinking, unless there's more questions about this, I would move on to across the field here to our carrots, and then we can show you the undercutter.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow, your brassicas look awesome.
Yeah, these ones. Yeah, this is a variety of summer cabbage that getting a little big. Actually, looks like this one's even splitting. We got to get in here and harvest some of these. They have a bit of bug damage. These ones are not super. We actually have more cabbage than we need right now, so we haven't really been doing a lot with them. But you can see, there's lots here. In the background, we've got broccolini and broccoli and cauliflower. And then right in the background, under the mesh, is rutabaga. Anyway, we're just cutting through the field here, over to the other side where we have our carrots. Yeah. All right, we're almost there.
It's good. We're getting an excellent idea about your scale.
Yeah, you're getting a bit of a tour as we're going. Yeah, this is the rutabaga. So rutabaga is really susceptible to root maggot. So the only way we can grow it is by growing it under mesh. Basically just fly screen, keep the bugs off. Here's our corn. And you can see that we've underseeded the corn, so just to kind of help keep the weeds down and also provide some soil protection after we take the corn off and mow it. Then there'll be some green manure right away underneath it. And you can see that there basically are very few. In fact, I don't see any weeds. There shouldn't be any weeds in it. And all of that was done with a cultivating tractor, which we'll show you later. So that's kind of a cool thing. We didn't have to do anything. No hand weeding at all in here, or no hand hoeing, and it's completely free of weeds. I think you can see it.
So did you plant the cover or the ground crop at the same time as the corn?
No, we did it after the last cultivation. So we would cultivate it a number of times after we seed it, and then at the last one, we throw in some annual ryegrass, and then irrigate it, and that's it. Then it grows up underneath.
Wow.
So that'll be when they're about knee high or so, when the corn is knee high. Anyway, here's our main winter cabbage patch. These ones are looking pretty nice too. These are looking better actually. You can see there's less bug damage, and they're sizing up quite nicely, getting hard. Anyway, okay, here we are at the tractor. All right, I was going to see if Veronica's around, but I don't see her right now. Okay. So actually, I'll just do a quick demo of what the machine looks like. So okay, so this is one of our favorite tools here, and it's a super simple tool, and it isn't that expensive, and I would recommend every market gardener. This is the first one you should get, the first harvest tool for sure. So it's either called bed lifter or undercutter, and it's super simple. You can see it's a blade at the bottom here that is going to go underneath your bed of carrots, or yeah, we do all kinds of different things with it. Carrots, celeriac, we do our garlic with it. You can do onions, all kinds of things that you need to loosen up leeks. Work really well. Then on the side here, we have a guide wheel that you can set lower and raise, so that that sets the depth of your cutting bar. So you don't want to have it too shallow for carrots, because of course you don't want to hit the carrots. You want to be below them. And it's just basically a frame to hold all that. It has to be fairly strong. You can see it's pretty sizable metal. I had this one made by a friend of mine who has a business maintaining tractors and doing all kinds of farm equipment maintenance. But you can get these, you can buy them now. Actually, Wilsey has one as well, the same equipment manufacturer as the potato digger. But I don't really like theirs so much. I would check out tillmore.com, and they have a nice looking one, and they're about $1,500 or so Canadian. Yeah. So any questions on? Well, maybe I'll just demonstrate it, and then we can deal with questions after that. So hang on there, and Yeah, I'm hitting a few carrots here yet, so I should try to go a little bit deeper. But that's how they come out of the soil.
Wow, okay, so yeah, you can
Go a
just
little bit.
lift them out, hey?
What I'm going to do to make it go deeper is shorten the top link a little bit so it changes the angle at which the blade is going under the bed, and so then it'll go a little deeper. Because I see that the guide wheels are not quite on the ground. This one is, but the other one is a little bit off the ground. So I'm going to try and do that first. Okay. Okay, hopefully these are better. Yeah, that's still one that's broken off. Might have to go set the guide wheels a little bit deeper, but these look good. So you can see these carrots are, because the soil is so dry this year, I mean, we've had years where it's just been muck and we've had to sort of strip muck off of each carrot, but these ones are coming out really nicely, and makes it so much easier. And this machine, you can see, I can just cruise down the row and it lifts all the carrots up, loosens the soil. There's no way we could pull any of these carrots without having something to lift them, and it's either the shovel or it's this. And this thing is super simple and is another machine that could easily be shared amongst people. We actually have some friends that are farming, just starting farming here, and they've been borrowing it on weekends when we're not using it. And but you do find that at this time of year you use it a fair bit for all kinds of different crops, and so it's nice to have. And we just leave it on the tractor, and whenever we need it, we set it in motion. And yeah, like I said, you can do carrots. You can do leeks. We have the leeks over there. It works really nice for if you have to dig 100 pounds of leeks. You can just drive in with this and straddle the row and lift a bunch, a couple of rows, and uh, it just means you don't have to loosen them all with a shovel. Another crop which we grow quite a bit of, we could go over to the celeriac there, Louise, but it works really well with celeriac. Celeriac is a really rooty crop and is hard to dig up. So if you can set that so that it's shallower and it'll just go under the roots, maybe go right here. I'll just throw this one here. So here, yeah, so you set the machine so it's just going a couple inches down underneath the soil and just cruises off and slices off the bulk of the roots, and then you can just easily pick them up. But these things are so rooted, you really have to dig a lot to get them out. And so it just saves a huge amount of time when it comes to that. And the same with the leeks. We can take a quick look at the leeks. The leeks are really quite rooted as well, and they're deeper because we have them hilled. But you can just set it so that it's going right at the base of the hill, just below the roots, and you just slice them off, and then you can just pop them out and trim the roots a little bit and the tops and put them in a box. Well, you might want to wash them first. But.
Herman, do
Yeah.
you know how the undercutter works with like stonier soils, or does it just kind of bounce around the big rocks?
Well, if you have, yeah, I don't know. We don't have stones in our rock in our soil, so we're really lucky in that regard. But we have clay, which sometimes I wish our soil wasn't quite so clay. I think it'll handle most rocky ground. You know, if you had big stones, okay, it's going to have to go around below or above one of them. So it could just kind of lift up, I guess, if it hits a rock. Yeah, I don't really have much experience actually using it in stony ground. Should work. And one thing I will say, you do need a four-wheel drive tractor. Well, especially this one because we are doing. I think mine is at the 5 foot or 4.5. I can't remember anymore. I should just measure it. But you can get narrower ones, and especially if you're getting it made, you can get it made just for your width. But it does, you know, in our soil, there's no way you could do it without being in four-wheel drive.
Okay, excellent. And does power, so
Yeah.
four-wheel drive, but also like, does it need like a certain amount of horsepower or anything like that?
I don't think it needs a huge amount of horsepower, but I mean, you know, you won't want to put one this big on a small tractor just because it just won't have, even if it did have the horsepower, it would just spin out probably,
Okay.
even with four-wheel drive. It doesn't have the weight, right? But yeah, I mean, this is an 85 horse. It's way more than you need. I think you could do it with like a 50 horsepower tractor, even this size, with four-wheel drive. But yeah, you do want to have four-wheel drive. Unless, I mean, that would be in our soil, right? So if you have a nice sandy light soil, you could probably do it with less.
Okay.
It would just glide through the soil. Yeah.
I'm curious if anybody on the call currently uses an undercutter.
We have an undercutter, but I have a question for Herman. We have difficulty with the tops of our carrots falling over and kind of building up on the vertical, like the vertical posts of the undercutter and lifting it out of the soil. I don't know if you ever run into that problem or if you have any suggestions to help with that.
Well, yeah, so we do occasionally have that happen, although not very much. Mainly, that's one reason why. I mean, my beds are 3-foot beds, but that's why I got this built as a 5-foot, because I didn't want to be too close to the edge of the bed, because then exactly that happens. And yeah, I don't think we've ever tried this, but I mean, it's something a person could try, is just mowing the tops, because obviously you don't need them anyway. So you could kind of either use a scythe, or if you have a mower, mow them and get them out of the way ahead of time, or rake them. I think there's a few times where we've kind of just taken a rake and kind of just you know, kind of pulled them back a little bit, just, you know, so that they don't lean over so much. But that's where the extra width comes in handy. When you're buying one or making one, you want to make sure it's wide enough to be far enough away from the edge of your crop so that you don't get it hung up. But it still occasionally can happen. We'll also sometimes get things, if it's wet or something like that, it'll plug up right here by the wheels. All kinds of weeds and things will get in here. So again, having a weed-free field, or not having too many tops coming over. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have an easy solution for that.
Yeah,
But
well,
I'd definitely be inclined to try mowing the tops.
Yeah, and that's a good tip for anyone considering buying one, is just get it a couple feet wider. And then you're
Make it so that it's a little bit, you know, at least if I would say, I have mine a foot wider on either side of the crop. So for 3-foot beds, make it a 5-foot. But if you have smaller bed size, you can maybe get away with a little bit less. But yeah, it's a pretty simple, basic tool, and really handy. Gets used a lot.
Thanks.
Any other questions about it?
Yeah, any other questions out there?
Rachel, can you hear me?
Yep.
So yeah, we do have a digger. We purchased this one from Italy. Not being Italian myself, but anyways, the one, it's called a Cici Magli. So we ordered it just because we did the garlic. You remember, Rachel?
Yeah.
And it actually works on potato, carrot, beet, onions, and it's not as wide as that implement. I've seen that on Wisley's webpage.
Yeah.
This one works great. You can set the depth, same thing, but it works really good. But it's only 2 feet wide. Yours is 4 feet wide, you said, or
5 feet wide.
yeah, 5 feet. Yeah, this one's
we
only
went
2.
with-
It's like,
so we can do the whole bed at the same time.
yeah, like we got a bedder, so it's 2 feet wide. So it's basically it's good for anything that's 2 feet wide. But
Yeah.
you can
So you could
look into
do
that.
like one row at a time, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah, you'd have to then sometimes, you'd have to plant your crop so that it fits that. If it's 2
Yeah.
feet wide, then yeah,
It
you're
does.
kind of limited a little bit on what you can do. Yeah.
No, we're set up for that space. Just how the better beds and such. But
Right.
works great. Highly recommend either or. So yeah.
So is it very similar to this, like just with a blade under the bottom?
No,
Or
I'd go down and take a picture and post it, but I'd get out of Wi-Fi. But if you just look up Cici Magli, I think Kem Lee ordered it in for us at one point. But if you look if you look implements online, you can just you can Google just about anything. But I'm familiar with that web page that has these implements from Ontario. I've always looked at them, and it's just too far to bring in.
Yeah,
so many.
is. You do pay a little bit in shipping for sure. It's probably going to cost. That's why you have to like throw another $1,000 on top to get it here. But if you can work together with some other people and maybe bring a few things at a time, then it's
like
not too bad.
This implement was actually it was just under 3,000 delivered to the farm, so it wasn't too bad, anyhow, it does bind up on the sides because there's discs that cut in on the side, so the weeds do bind a little bit, so you're kind of stopping and pulling weeds out and stuff like that. But to save the spine, it works great. Anyhow, just thought I'd share that. Okay.
Yeah, great.
Awesome. Thanks,
I'm just
John.
sort of taking the opportunity to move across to the field to some of our other equipment. Any other questions people have along the way, or?
How do you that's John here. Who does the plant? Do you have a driller for the potato?
The potatoes. Oh yeah, I guess I could have talked about that. Yeah, we actually. I tend not to want to buy much
or
equipment.
cedar.
I'm not
they're
a real
expensive,
equipment
right?
person, so.
Yeah.
So I tried a few used ones for the potatoes, and I didn't like them.
Okay.
Every time I went to use them, that something would break, and I just thought, hell with this, I'm just going to dig them by hand. So we're just plant them by hand. We're planting them by hand. We just sort of we have a furrower. We make the furrow with this furrower, which is also doubles as a potato hiller. And then we just go along with a 20-liter bucket, our favorite buckets, and we're just planting them, dropping them into at 1 foot spacing. So it takes us about an afternoon to do it. Almost an acre. So I figure, having another piece of equipment that gets used once a year for half a day is not worth having around.
Right. Yeah, I do the same thing.
Something you'd want to share with somebody.
Yeah. I do the same thing with when I do it. I got this little implement I kind of put together and farrow it in and dig it up and then just toss them in. And so, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Just a sec here. Veronica, do you want to do the 2 cultivating tractors then? Yeah, we're just moving on to that. Louise is going to go and harvest some of her lettuce, which is, let's have a look here. We're actually right at the lettuce patch. Here we are.
Oh, beautiful.
She's going to get busy doing that. And I'm just waiting for Veronica. What were you doing? Getting celery or something?
Fennel.
Fennel. Here's Veronica. She's our one of our key employees. She's been here the longest and lives not too far away and has a really good handle on all the different tractors and tools as well, and knows how to use them. So she's gonna take some of our cultivating tractors out for a spin, and then we can look at them. So, want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
So we're gonna do the hiller first. I did the two outside rows. You can do the inside ones. This is Ashley. She's harvesting harvesting kohlrabi. They're looking really good, those ones. Nice size.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. We're just getting stuff ready for the Revelstoke market. So if there's anyone from Revelstoke, this is what we're doing. We've got some salad turnips over here being harvested, and Ryan's in the distance doing radishes. So I'll have lots of good stuff. Okay. So before you fire it up there, let's just take a quick look at the tractor. So this is an old tractor. As you can see, it's probably mid 40s or early 50s. Farmall Cub, it's called. So this one of the smallest. I think it's probably the smallest one they have, or they had. They aren't made anymore. And so one of the thing about that is unique is is that it's offset. You can see when you're looking at it from the front here, Veronica's on the driver's seat. She can look down and look at the cultivation implements, which are belly mounted. So you can see these are the cultivation implements right here. They're right in between the front and the rear wheels. And so that makes it really, for precision weeding, and cultivating, this is a great machine, because you can see exactly what you're doing as you're going along, and be really precise in your driving. Yeah, so these old tractors, you just sort of watch for them online and get lucky. And so we managed to pick up a few of them. We have two of which one's a parts tractor, and the other one is in the shop right now. So that's one of the downsides of having such old equipment. It's a little finicky. This or that doesn't work on it invariably when you need it. But so I'll just show you what we've got it set up for. So we have two of them that we run, and we set them up differently with different tools underneath. So this one, what we're doing is hilling crops. And so when I showed you the corn back there, this would be the tractor that we did the hilling with. So these rolling cultivators here, so what they do is they'll be going along in the soil, and as they're going along, they're just rolling along and pushing soil into the inside, and the crop is going to be between these two cultivators here, and the soil will just be hilled into the middle where the crop is, and that buries the weeds. So yeah, we can do that multiple times. Go down a crop every, space it every week or 10 days apart, and the weeds will just get buried, and we don't have to do any weeding at all. If we do it right and we get the timing right, we can get away with doing pretty much nothing. Sometimes the odd weed escapes, and we'll just go and hand weed it. But that's a real lifesaver. You can save yourself huge amounts of time on certain crops that like hilling. And then beside that, we have just a basic coulter here, or a shovel, just to till the soil. This is tilling the soil between the rows, and then at the back is another one, or another set, just to follow in the wheel tracks and make sure it leaves the soil all cultivated between the rows as well. So yeah, I think that gives you the quick introduction of it. Veronica's going to fire it up and take it over into our celery, and we'll do a little run down the celery and film some of it. When it's cold, it doesn't like to it's a little finicky when it's running.
It's good we're living the challenges of old equipment.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are gas motors, aren't they?
Yeah, they're gas.
Yeah, okay.
Finicky old things.
Yeah, I've been looking into for those for a long time. I know exactly how they work.
Okay, we gotta go now. So I'll just go into the row here and you can see it from the front. Sorry, it's the camera's kind of moving around a lot here. So this is basically what Veronica can see as she's driving. Basically, I'm holding the camera right in front of her here. You can see how the soil is just flowing in from the outside and killing the celery, and if there's any weeds in there, just burying them. And it's going to be totally clean. Once she's done, it looks like this. No weeds at all. Whereas before, it'll look like this. This is the next row that we haven't done. You can see all the weeds here. These are all going to get buried. And celery is great for that because it likes being hilled. So she'll just come right back. Now there's the odd weed like this one here that was too big and too close. Probably got missed last time, so we might have to pull the odd one. Here's another one. But you can see how much of a huge saving this is. The soil's got all kinds of weeds in it all along here. And she's just going to come along and get them all out of the way. Yeah, so here we are. It's taking like, what is it? 3 minutes. And we've done 400 feet of celery. So you can see how something like that is a huge time saver. And these old tractors, yeah, you can pick them up from, like I say, if you get lucky, just watch the Kijiji or something like that, and you find one locally. I've paid about $2,500 to $3,000 each for them. It's just really nothing. But of course, you do have to probably put $2,500 to $3,000 in there, you know, just for maintenance. But it's a pretty cool tool. It saves us a huge amount of time. We just go around once a week, and any crop that needs some hilling, like corn, cabbage, all our brassicas, our broccolis and cauliflower and broccolini, kale, all those crops get hilled, and with this little tractor here, and it does a great job and saves us a huge amount of time. That's how we can just go, you know, zip up and down and do, you know, half an acre of crops in less than an hour. And yeah, but even on a small scale, I remember when we first got one of these, we were much smaller. I don't know if we had one when Andrew was working here, but do you remember, Andrew, whether we had one yet?
Yeah, I remember you driving that around for sure.
Yeah, so exactly. So we had just one at the time, and that was the first sort of implement that we bought for cultivating, and it enabled us to just sort of make this big leap ahead in efficiency in terms of saving ourselves so much time in cultivating some of our crops. Anyway, so that's a great little tool. If you can find one of these looking in someone's garage or on Kijiji or whatever, Craigslist, I wouldn't hesitate to buy it. And you want to make sure you get this belly mounted cultivation set up. Not necessarily the tools, you can add those later, but you need this part here, the actual hangers where the and that some older tractors or people will have taken them off their older tractors, and that's not much good to you. You really need this piece here and that piece as well, so that you can put the cultivators on there. And then you can, as the crop grows, or if it's much smaller, we can change the angle of these. Sorry, I'll get the camera down here. So I can change the angle of these. You can see there's a bit of an angle. The more aggressively you set the angle, the more soil it'll throw into the middle of the row. But if you set the angle so that it's less steep, then you will have less soil going in. So if we're doing corn for the first time, for example, we will we'll just set it very narrow, or not very steep, the angle, and we'll put we can move these in too. So this whole, on this bar here, oops, sorry, this whole bar moves in and out, so you can move these cultivators in and out, and you can set it just for a crop at a certain stage, and you can make lots of different changes and be adjusting it just for particular crops. Then as the crop gets bigger and wider, we just pull the cultivators further out, and we can set them a little bit more of an angle, and then they'll throw more soil into the inside of the row. Anyway, and same with these, of course, you can set these as well on the bar where you want them, how deep you want them. You can lift them up and down. So if it's going too deep, you can put them a little bit up, and with the same with the ones on the back. So it's pretty versatile. You can set it up in lots of different ways and with different kinds of tools underneath as well. So, but this one we'll just do one row at a time. Our main row crops like corn and everything that we've planted on 36-inch row spacing, all our cabbage, all our kale, all those crops are all planted the same, and then we just use this tractor for that. So any questions on that before we move on to the next one?
Hey Herman, it's Brendan here. I've got another question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that looks awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. I was wondering if you had any experience using the similar cultivators just on a 3-point hitch toolbar, if someone could like achieve the same results or maybe not quite as good, but similar using those implements, but just mounted on the back of a tractor that we already have.
Yeah, so that is something that's possible. I don't have any experience with that, mainly because what the downside with doing it on the back is that you can't drive anywhere near as precisely. So
Totally.
that kind of makes a big difference. With these ones, every inch that I move the front of the tractor on, the cultivator tools will only move half an inch. So if I'm driving down the row and I'm wobbling back and forth, and not driving totally 100% straight, which is pretty hard to do with these things because the steering is old and loose, and but you're actually, with belly mounted cultivators, you're cutting your kind of wobbles in half. But if you put that same implement on the back, you're actually amplifying any kind of variation on your driving. So if you steer an inch out of the way, the back is probably going to move at least an inch or probably more because it's behind the tractor and it's kind of going to swing back and forth. So that's the downside, is that you can't get as close. But having said that, I mean, you can get, you don't need to be super precise with these. You just have to be fairly close, because they're throwing a flow of soil in regardless. So it's definitely possible. I've just never done it because I've had these ones and they're just a little bit more, there's more precision to it. And I can just do one row at a time, because usually if you're going to do a 3-point hitch tractor, you know, then you're probably going to go to 2 rows at a time. So, you know, you want to have, then you have to make sure they're really precisely planted in a straight line and all that sort of stuff too. But I'm pretty sure it would work with a hilling like this. Just maybe right at the beginning when the corn, like for example, when we do corn for the first time, it's probably 8 inches high. So we have to be careful that we don't actually bury the entire corn by accident. So, you know, we can be watching it as we're driving it. We're just looking right down at it. Veronica was just watching it. She can adjust her speed. She can adjust how deep she's setting the cultivators and regulate the flow of soil really precisely. It's just more precise if you can get it in between. But like you say, there's not a lot of these around, and sometimes you just have to take the next best thing and put it on a 3-point hitch. And I've seen them on 3-point hitches as well, for sure, absolutely. Usually in bigger settings, though, not so much in smaller settings. Anything else? All right, so we're gonna move on to this piece of equipment right here. So this is our basket weeder. And this is we've had this probably for about 10 years now. And this is a great little tool for getting those crops that don't like to be hilled, and you simply cannot hill. And so the basic tractor it's again an offset. It's a Kubota L245H. And what's unique about it is, again, that it's offset, so that basically the driver can look right down onto the cultivating implements. And so, and it has the same basic, it's kind of a copy actually of the Farmall. This is a 70s tractor, so it came out, yeah, 30 years later or 40 years later than the other ones, and a little bit bigger version, and has the same idea, though. You can see the same sort of hang up for the kind of arms that they have here, and attachment to the tractor for the belly mounted cultivation tools. So that hasn't changed. What else can I tell you about it? Just, yeah, slightly bigger version. But let's just go down and look at the tool that we have underneath this one. So yeah, you can put multiple different tools and toolbars underneath this one, but for this one we have what's called a basket weeder, and it's kind of in the way a little bit. Maybe I'll look on the other side here. Here we are. So you've got 2 sets of baskets, 2 rows of baskets, one behind one another, and then in between there's spaces in between, and that's where the crops are going to go, down these spaces here. And what makes the cultivator work is that there's a bigger sprocket on the front than on the back. So for every turn that the front one makes, the back one makes 2 or 3. So basically what's going along is this front set of baskets is digging into the soil and forcing the back ones to run at 2 or 3 times. And so they're going along and just flicking out the weeds without throwing a lot of soil around and burying your plant. So you can imagine, for example, if you're going down a bed of carrots, you don't want to, they're just like an inch high. You can't afford to put any soil next to the carrots because they're just going to get buried. So you can go up really close with this and cultivate all the spaces in between. So anyway, we're going to do a quick demo of that. Then you'll see what I mean. It's one thing to explain it, but it's another thing to see it in action. Let's see here. Veronica, are you ready there? Okay. So Veronica's just prepping a spot that she's got a number of these beds on the list to do anyways. So here we are. We're going to do some spinach. Looks like we got, yeah. So these are some beds of spinach that we've got just coming up. And you can see there's not a lot of weeds there, but the thing is you need to get into them when they're small. So here, this is a weed that we're gonna get right here, these guys. And she's gonna go right up to the edge here, right along the edge, and till up all this soil in between the rows and get all these weeds. And then we'll see what it looks like afterwards. Here you can see some more weeds in here in between. And yeah, that would take a fair bit of work to hoe. There's 5 beds here. They're 200 feet long. So, and here's another crop, some radishes, for example. We're going to go through do these ones, and the weeds are a little bit bigger. Yeah, so you can see what it looks like beforehand, and you can do different size crops with it too. So what she was doing is just moving. You can fire it up there, Veronica, anytime. She was moving some of the mesh out of the way because we had mesh on the radishes so that we don't get root maggot in our radishes. So she had to get that off. Of course, that's the joys of organic farming, is you have all these extra jobs here to do to be able to keep the bugs at bay. Anyway, this one's a diesel tractor, and she's going to bring it over and try it out.
Hey, Herman.
Yeah.
Hello. Do you have your seed driller? You going to show that?
The way we seed these, I can definitely talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't. Yeah, we haven't talked about that.
Okay.
So I'll just show you. She's coming in here now. So what she's going to do is she's going to go down one side of the rows, and then come back and do the other side. It'll leave a little gap. So she's going to start it up here right now. Oh, that shovel's in the way. I got to go around the other side. So you can see there's a strip not being done, but that's going to be done on the way back. Let's go take a look at it this side. Okay. Go ahead. So you can see the back set of baskets is just flicking the weeds out of the way there, loosening up the soil. So you have to do this when the weeds are small. And then these ones on the back here, I didn't even talk about those, but those are just to do the wheel tracks and the spaces between the beds. But you can see it's going up really close to one side, getting the weeds. You can see a dead weed there, or that's a loosened weed right there. Let me just, whoop. See if I can show it to you. That one there. Yeah, actually that one's still there. Okay, so that's already getting to be too big. So it survived it. But you can see these ones here. Oh, that one got left behind too. There's some that are persistent. Maybe the smallest ones I can't even see. Here, this is the size that we're going for. That's where it's really effective. She'll probably get a bunch of them on the second pass too. Okay, so now she's coming down and she's gonna do the other side of the bed. So this is what she's seeing right now. She's driving really precisely along the edge. Get as close as you can without wiping out the crop.
Herman, you're just frozen right now for some reason. Hopefully it unfreezes.
Okay, yeah, I'm just, hang on. Here we are. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I think a lump of dirt landed on my phone and caused it to pause or something. Anyway, now you can see the bed's done, and it's looking a lot cleaner than this is the bed right next to it. So we've done, yeah, in 2 minutes or whatever, we've done a 3 rows at 200 feet. And we got quite close to the row, so there's not much left in terms of weeds here.
I have a question, Herman.
So
On that
she's heading
spinach.
off on the next one.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I missed that. What did you say, Rachel?
I was just wondering, for example, on that spinach crop, how many times would you run that basket weaver over before you're harvesting?
Once. This is the only time.
Okay.
Yeah. I got some dirt in my boot too. Yeah, so yeah, we just go through once, and there might be some weeds that survive it. I think most of them we got, but we kind of left this. Probably should have done it last week, but then I was saying to them, oh, let's leave some so I can do a demo. So
Hey, Herman.
Yeah.
Herman, I got a question. Do you flame? Do any flaming?
We do some flaming on things like carrots, but
Okay.
not on spinach or radishes or any of those other. In most of these other crops,
Well,
I've got this. There's some
prior to
cilantro
planting,
here,
right? Yeah.
lettuce.
Like we flame prior
we
to
do.
planting, right?
We do. No, we don't, because we till the soil prior to planting.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll till bed and flame. That's how I do it.
Yeah, and that's a great way of doing it. It works really well, except it doesn't work in our soil, because our soil is so much of a clay content that you get the slightest bit of rain on it and it creates a crust, and suddenly you can't seed into it again.
Yeah, our
So
soils are
we
not.
have to. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
our
for different
soils are
soils, you have to
softer.
develop
Yeah.
different techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you can do it that way, that's a great way of doing it too.
Yeah.
And you don't have any weeds at all. You probably don't have to cultivate at all for some of these fast-growing crops.
Right.
But
Okay.
this is what we do is, yeah, we can kind of go through it pretty quickly. And then, yeah, for radishes, spinach, lettuce, what else do we do? We do even some of the crops, like we'll even do corn when it's really small. We'll do it with this one as well. Just go up next to it, kill a bunch of weeds, set them back a bit, and then go through later with the cultivator, with the hiller when it's a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So we use this a lot. We use it on almost every crop. Yeah. Depth setting on basket. Basically, as she's going along, there's the cylinder has, you can put down pressure on the basket weeder. So, you know, you can go deeper or you can go less deep, depending on what your needs are. So you can set the depth as you're going, and because you're looking at it from the top, you can just sort of make those adjustments, micro adjustments as you go.
Is it self-propelled?
Sorry, missed that.
Is it self-propelled, the basket underneath?
Yeah. So that's the cool thing about it, is that the front basket digs in, and through this chain here on the side causes the back basket to turn at twice the speed. So
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to let it down just a little bit?
Yeah, I couldn't see if there was a shaft connected.
So yeah, for every revolution that makes at the front, it turns the back one twice the speed. And so then that's how you get that sort of flicking motion, but it's not throwing the soil into the row, it's just loosening it up behind it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so those basket weeders, and so these basket weeders are not exactly inexpensive, unfortunately. So you do, and they're all custom made in the US by one company. And you can order whatever spacing you want. You can do 4 rows to a bed, 5 rows to a bed. You can even have these outside hillers built so that they can do the edge of a sloped bed. Like if you have a raised bed, you can get sort of sloped baskets. And what we decided to do for being able to use it on multiple different crops at different sizes is to make sure we had 8 or 9 inches here between the basket sets. So that forces us that we do have to go up and down each bed, but it also gives us the option of doing much bigger. Like we can go through when the heads of lettuce are almost like 6 inches across or more even, we can still go and basket weed them. So it makes it possible to use it on multiple different crops at multiple different stages. But a lot of times on the small crops, we'll have to go onto the bed twice, up one side and down the other, to be able to do it. I'll just show you one more time from here. You can see there's 3 rows and they're all set about 9 inches apart. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you do buy one of these things, is to make sure that there's space between them, because we're market farmers, we're not doing 20 acres of one crop at just an ideal size. We're going to be doing, we're out here every week doing on all kinds of different crops at different sizes. So you want to have the flexibility to be able to use it in multiple crops. But yeah, it's a great little tool. Again, it's something that gets a little bit more expensive to get into, and you definitely want a bit of area to make it worth doing. I often find with some of these things, particularly this one, I spend about as much time turning around at the end of the row as I do actually cultivating. And so then you think, oh, geez, I wish my rows were 1,000 feet longer. I could actually stay in the row for a while and really get into it. But yeah, they aren't. Yeah, and then the back is just actually this is exactly what you were talking about earlier, where putting rolling cultivators on a toolbar. I actually bought this toolbar here. It was a much wider one. It was a 4-row corn. They used it for corn, cow corn, with these rolling cultivators on it. And I cut it down so that I could just use it for behind this tractor. But yeah, there's an example of exactly what you were talking about earlier, that you can set up these rolling cultivators and do some hilling from behind the tractor as well. So it works. Any other questions? Oh, there was a question about seeding, right? Yeah, so obviously when you're doing 3 rows at a time cultivating, they have to be exactly 18 inches apart is what we got ours set at. So we have to make sure that when we're doing the seeding that we're pretty precise about that. Otherwise, while you're looking at 2 of the rows and you're cultivating 2 of them, the third one's getting taken out because it's not exactly 18 inches away. So you do have to try to get those rows nice and straight and relative to one another, exactly the distance apart. So what we do there is it's pretty simple. We just create a little marker that goes on behind our rotavator that we used for bed preparation. And recently we've been using a power harrow as well for bed prep. And so we just put some bolts, basically drilled some holes and put some bolts down that were exactly 18 inches apart that drag in the soil and make a little line in the soil. So then when we make a bed, we have exactly, we have 3 rows at exactly 18 inches apart. And then we use just a regular seeder, like we use a Planet Junior primarily, and just hand seed it with it up and down by walking, by pushing it. So some people would put it on a toolbar, so we could put some seeders on a toolbar like this as well, and then seed them with a tractor. But we just do it with a single row seeder and just push the seeder up and down.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah. It makes it, I mean, again, it's a matter of expense, right? Those things are, $500 to $1,000 each, those precision seeders.
Yeah,
and
we use a Chang.
You'd have to, then you have to put 3 of them on your tractor at least, and then you have to have 3 times as much seed as well to be able to fill each one with some seed in each hopper. and every time you change seed, you're having to change seed on 3 different seeders. And to me, I'm just as far ahead taking one seeder
Sure.
and walking up and down, and then when I change the seed, I only have to change the seed on one
Do,
of the
do you ever look into
seeders.
the Jang seeder?
Yeah, some of our friends
Okay.
have Jang seeders.
Okay.
Basically the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah. We
similar
have
sort of
one
thing.
that
So, yeah, you
drills
can use a
3.
Jang.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Usually you buy them. Don't you buy them individually as well,
Yeah. You can,
or do
like,
they just?
we bought one that has the
And then you put it
3
together.
drillers. Yeah. You can adjust them.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have your
If you can get something like
interchangeable.
that, that would help, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. They're pricey.
We don't have that. We just use
Use
the
the single.
the Planet Junior that we've had for years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't
We have
take
the
long
same
to
one.
just walk up and down and do them,
Okay.
and it works fine
Thanks.
that way.
Okay.
So here you can actually see a spinach crop that's a bit bigger. So there's the occasional weed in there, but they're not going to affect the crop at all. And most of it's pretty clean and ready. Well, it's not ready to harvest yet. It's going to be another 2-3 weeks before we'll cut this one.
Question, Herman.
Yeah.
What weeds do you have to deal with? Like, what's your sort of your nemesis of weeds that'll choke out your crops?
So the main ones are red root pigweed, lamb's quarters, and what else? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name. Wild, shoot, the grassy one.
Chickweed?
And chickweed, we have a bit of chickweed as well, particularly in the fall. But yeah, you can see actually here, you can see some chickweed in the spinach here for sure.
My farm is rampant.
It's not enough to worry about. Because we'll be harvesting it before it really gets out of control. We don't worry about it too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, anything else? How are we doing for time?
Well, we're bang on at 9 a.m. So, I mean, you're like clockwork over there, Herman. I think it's like one of your claims to fame. So you did not disappoint with this. It's, from my end, this has gone really well. We've been able to see everything really, really well. It's pretty amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just kind of opened up Pandora's box of the various things that we could see at your farm, and, just seeing like your corn planted with cover crops, for example, or ground covers. There's all these innovative things that you're doing out there to deal with weeds, to make your systems more efficient. And by all means, people can send Herman or myself an email saying, can you explore this topic more or that topic more? And maybe we should do something in the greenhouse or in your packing shed as well.
Sure. Yeah. If there's an interest, definitely happy to share whatever knowledge we've accumulated over the years, and things we've tried and things that have worked and didn't work. And it always helps when you can see it in action. I find, at least especially with sort of this kind of cultivation equipment, it's, when you see it, you can say, oh yeah, wow, that could work, or I could adapt that, or I could do it differently, or something like that. But you see the sort of the theory behind it and how it actually works. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I will post this video on our website so that all those folks who missed it are able to access it, and I'll reach out for some feedback and all that kind of stuff. But really appreciate your time, Herman. This has been so neat to see all your farm workers out there getting ready for market as well. It almost feels like we're there. We did have a couple Revelstoke farms registered for this event, but they're obviously harvesting for market as well. So
yeah, they probably are. Yeah, no, it's a perfect time. That's one of the things that I thought was nice about doing it in the morning, because then you actually see harvesting happening. And yeah, here we got Katie. Can't resist these salad turnips here.
Fantastic.
I can't see you, but you can see me.
Yeah, so Katie's been working at the farm for 3 years as well, and she's She's got a few crops that she likes to do, and this is one of them. Or I guess this is you're filling in with for someone, right?
No, I'm just helping out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and so she looks after a lot of our administration office work as well. And I'll just go over here and check out the radishes while we're here. Here you can see some older generations of spinach. So we'll be harvesting this one probably in a week or so, and cilantro and dill as well. Anyway, yeah. So I guess just a good way to end is to look at the vegetables. That's what it's all about, eh?
Fantastic. And I also forgot to put a shout out, Herman, that if anybody has questions about local line, I think you are our running expert in the province on how to use local line.
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of experience and we were using it a lot. So we were happy to help out with that if anyone has questions about that. Here, this is Ryan. He does our Revelstoke market and is our resident radish expert as well.
Hello, everyone.
They're looking good. These are looking choice.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
A couple slugs came through, but we have a whole bed to go through, so no problem there.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, if you need help with local line, definitely we could do a webinar or a Zoom call just on that too, if there's definitely some interest on that.
Yeah, I think I've been pushing the BC Association of Farmers Markets to take that on, because I think that knowledge will be beneficial throughout the province. But to be concluded, we have a bucket list of topics, but really appreciate your time, Herman, and I'll let you get back to work. Nice seeing you this morning. You're looking healthy and vigorous after a great summer.
All right, thanks everybody, and appreciate all the interesting questions and the interest, and so yeah, look forward to seeing you again sometime if it works out.
Thanks, Herman.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.